Will this information be available to print out? Yeah, I'm going to send a PDF of the slides that I showed earlier. Don, I think Don was asking, so thank you for your question, Don. Okay, so we have looked at walking through selecting a template, a business rules template that looks for calls, interactions that have been flagged, and we'll take those and assign those to an evaluator for evaluation. And we have that tucked underneath here. There is another rule template that I want to take a look at, and that is automatically scheduling interactions for evaluation and sending them to a group of evaluators. So I don't know how big or small your teams are. If you've got a larger group of evaluators, or you have a group of evaluators identified in your vPortal structure, then you can assign evaluations to that group, and they'll be randomly distributed among your group of evaluators. So let's walk through this rule here and see what we're prompted for and what this is doing for you. So again, you want to click on the template here, and you're going to go to New Rule, because you're creating a new rule based on that template. Okay, so it's telling us it's going to schedule evaluations or interactions for evaluation for a group of evaluators. Great, sounds great. It will automatically do this for you. You're going to be able to pick the duration of the calls. You're going to set some duration parameters on this. And interactions are based on the primary user in the interaction. So that would be the name of the interaction. And interactions that have been previously scheduled for evaluation this way will be ignored by this rule. So if you've got stuff that's already been sent for evaluation, it will be ignored. They'll pick new. So click Next and see what we're prompted for. It's looking for interactions that occurred from the past number of days. I'm going to say from the last week. And for each agent, how many interactions do I want to have evaluated? I've worked with lots of teams. It can be up to 6 or 8 a month on an agent, but sometimes it's just 3 or 4. Now I have to select the agent group that I'm looking to focus on here. And it's asking me the total duration of or the minimum duration of the call. I want to look at send calls that are at least a minute long and up to 500 seconds long, I'll say. And it's asking me here if there are any flags on the calls, if I've used flags in conjunction here. I'm going to say no flag, because in this case I wouldn't be using a flag to flag calls with this business rule. In this case I would just be saying calls that fall between this time frame and this time frame, and I'll use all those agents, 3 evaluations per agent. You can also specify if you need to inbound or outbound on the direction. And let's click Next to go next. And it's asking me to pick an active form. My test forms aren't going to show up here. I can also assign my evaluator. So this is going to be assigning it to one evaluator. And I have to let them know how many days they have to complete the evaluation. So I may be nice and say 2 or 3. Still have another screen to go, so we'll go next. And it's asking me the time of day that I'd want to run this evaluation, or run this business rule rather. I can name my my business rule. You want to make a meaningful name again, because it's going to be tucked underneath the one that you. I'm going to use this for training. Make it quick, and this is going to run at 1 a.m. and finish. And let my screen refresh. And there I've got my configured business rules for training purposes set under here. Always important, step 2, just just configuring the business rule is enough. You need to go and make it active. And if you want to run it on a schedule, you want to set it on a schedule. So you want to pick the edit schedule and get the calendar out so that you can pick. Very important to set your active checkbox to activate the rule for it to run. And to run any rule manually, you can click Run here as well. So we've looked at how to use a business rule to schedule. This one was scheduling interactions for a group of evaluators. We've looked at, well, if I flagged some calls that I want evaluated, how do I get those automatically scheduled for evaluation? We looked at that one as well. And there's another one I wanted to look at before we wrap up today. And that is, no, not this one. I think it's this one. Right. This is interactions for a group of agents that you want to evaluate. So you're looking to evaluate a group of agents, and they're going to ask for how long, what the time period is. I'm going to say the 7 days. How many interactions per agent do we want to evaluate? I'm going to say 2. Again, I pick the group of agents that I'm looking to target, and the minimum amount of time and maximum amount of time on the call. This is good for if you would change these settings if you're looking to hone in on shorter calls or very, very long calls. That's where you can really use that duration setting there to focus on calls of a certain time length. In this case, I'm not using any flags. I don't care about the direction. I click Next. And it's going to ask me for my form. We know these are active forms that I can select. It will randomly distribute these evaluation assignments to evaluators that are in the group that I selected. So I selected the Customer 2 team here. So in that Customer 2 team, the way that these people would be set up, they would have evaluators in the team among would-be agents. So any of the people in that group who have the group supervisor role, for example, or a group manager role, would be assigned the evaluations to perform. So this is where you're selecting one of your roles, either roles that would show up differently in your system that it will here. And you pick the role of the person who would be evaluating, and that person will automatically get those calls to evaluate. Well, let me check and see if we have some questions.